The last time anyone saw Emily Carter alive, she was walking home from her night shift at the local diner. She had just celebrated her 24th birthday, her laughter still echoing in the memories of her closest friends. But within hours, that laughter would be silenced forever. Her final moments were a cruel twist of fate, an encounter with a predator lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Emily Carter was the kind of person who left an impression on everyone she met. She had an infectious smile, a heart full of ambition, and dreams bigger than the small town she grew up in. Despite her struggles, working 2 jobs to support her mother and younger brother after her father's passing, she never let life's hardships dull her spirit. She had just been accepted into a nursing program, a step toward the future she had always envisioned. She often spoke about how she wanted to work in pediatric care, inspired by the kindness of a nurse who had once taken care of her younger brother during a severe bout of pneumonia. "I want to be that person for someone else," she had once said to her best friend, Olivia. But fate had other plans. It was a crisp autumn evening when Emily clocked out of work. She wrapped her scarf around her neck, sending a quick text to her mother, "On my way home. Love you." The streets were quieter than usual, the wind whispering through the trees. Unbeknownst to Emily, someone had been watching her for days, studying her routine, waiting for the right moment to strike. As she turned onto a dimly lit shortcut she often took, a sense of unease prickled at her skin. She quickened her pace, unaware that her every step was being shadowed. The shortcut was lined with overgrown bushes and an old wooden fence that led toward her neighborhood. She had walked this way dozens of times, never feeling unsafe, until that night. A rustling sound behind her made her stop. She turned, but the street was empty. Shaking off her nerves, she continued walking. The last thing she remembered was the sound of hurried footsteps behind her before everything went black. The next morning, Emily's bed remained untouched. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Her mother's calls turned frantic, and by noon, the police were involved. As the search began, the entire town held its breath, hoping Emily would return home safely. Friends and family plastered missing posters across the town, and volunteers scoured the streets, calling her name. Her best friend, Olivia, walked the shortcut repeatedly, desperate for any sign that Emily had been there. But deep down, her mother knew. A mother's intuition is never wrong. Detectives scoured security footage, interviewed co-workers, and retraced Emily's last known steps. It didn't take long before they uncovered a chilling detail. Emily had been followed that night by an unknown figure. The grainy footage showed a shadowy silhouette trailing her, keeping its distance but never losing sight. The footage ended abruptly as she disappeared down the shortcut. 3 days later, a hiker stumbled upon something in the dense woods just outside town, a piece of fabric caught on a tree branch. It was Emily's scarf. The search party combed through the area, their hearts sinking with every step. And then, they found her. Emily's body lay hidden beneath a blanket of leaves, her once bright eyes forever closed. The peacefulness of the forest contrasted sharply with the horror of her final moments. There were bruises on her wrists, evidence of a struggle, and a single tear track stained her cheek, a silent witness to her last breath. Forensics later confirmed she had fought desperately, scratching at her attacker's arms, leaving behind DNA evidence that would become crucial in identifying her murderer. The town was shaken to its core. Who could have done this? Who had taken Emily's future away in such a brutal manner? As detectives pieced together the evidence, a suspect emerged, someone who had blended into the background, unnoticed, unsuspected. A local handyman with a dark past, a man who had always been off, but never truly suspected. His obsession with Emily had gone unnoticed, buried beneath casual conversations and passing glances. Neighbors later recalled how he would sit outside his home, watching young women walk past. A few had noticed his stares, but no one had reported him. No one had thought he was dangerous. But Emily had seen the darkness in his eyes that night, and she had fought. When the police knocked on his door, he smirked. He thought he had gotten away with it. But the fibers from Emily's scarf were found in his truck, and scratches on his arms told a story he couldn't escape. The trial was swift, the evidence undeniable. Emily's family sat in the courtroom, her mother clutching a photo of the daughter she would never hold again. And when the guilty verdict was read, the town exhaled, though no amount of justice could bring Emily back. As investigators delved deeper into the life of the convicted murderer, chilling details surfaced. He had a history of violence, previous assault charges that had been dismissed, women who had come forward with stories of being followed, but nothing had stuck. Emily wasn't his first victim, but she was the first whose case couldn't be ignored. In the days following the verdict, Emily's mother became an advocate for missing and murdered women. She worked tirelessly to bring awareness to cases like her daughter's, ensuring that no other family would have to endure the same nightmare. The town erected a small memorial in Emily's honor at the diner where she had worked, a plaque that read, "In loving memory of Emily Carter. A light that will never fade." Months passed, but the echoes of Emily's tragedy lingered. Rumors swirled about the killer's other possible victims, cold cases that suddenly seemed connected. Detectives reopened several files, piecing together a pattern that had long been overlooked. Emily's case had been the break they needed, the final clue to solving a mystery that had haunted the town for years. Emily Carter's story didn't end with her tragic death. Her name became a symbol of resilience, of the fight against violence. A scholarship was created in her honor, helping young women chase their dreams, dreams that Emily never got to fulfill. And though she was gone, her light never truly faded. It lived on in the hearts of those who loved her, in the stories they told, and in the justice they fought for. Emily Carter would never be forgotten. But in the darkness of the town's grief, there was something else, a lesson, a warning. Because monsters don't always hide in the shadows. Sometimes, they walk among us. 1 year later, a young woman named Rachel Simmons walked the same path Emily had taken that fateful night. She had read about Emily's story, felt her presence in the town's sorrow, and carried a whistle on her keychain in silent tribute. That night, as she heard footsteps behind her, she turned around. And for the first time, the town's lesson saved a life. But Rachel's story was only just beginning. As the years passed, the town of Ashford slowly began to heal. The memory of Emily Carter remained ever present, woven into the fabric of the community. Her tragic story had sparked a wave of change, one that reached far beyond the borders of the small town. Her name became a rallying cry for justice, and her legacy gave rise to a movement dedicated to supporting and protecting those who were most vulnerable. Her mother, once lost in her grief, had become an unwavering voice for missing and murdered women, tirelessly working to ensure that no other mother would ever have to endure the heartache she had felt. She was no longer just the mother of a murdered daughter, she was a symbol of hope for countless others. She spoke at rallies, worked with law enforcement to improve investigative practices, and pushed for better resources for families facing similar tragedies. Olivia, Emily's best friend, had turned her pain into purpose. She now worked as a counselor for survivors of violent crime, offering comfort and guidance to those who had faced the unimaginable. Emily's spirit lived on through her, in every person she helped find their way through the darkness. And Rachel Simmons, the young woman who had walked that same fateful path a year after Emily's death, became a beacon of courage for others. She never walked alone again, her whistle always within reach, a small but powerful symbol of the town's resolve to never forget the lesson Emily's life and death had taught them all. The town's memorial to Emily, the plaque at the diner where she had worked, remained a place of quiet reflection for those who remembered her. Visitors would leave flowers, letters, or simply sit in silence, their hearts heavy with the weight of what had been lost and what had been gained in the wake of Emily's passing. The truth was, no amount of justice could ever bring Emily back, but in the lives she touched, in the changes she inspired, she was never truly gone. The town had learned that while the darkness of the world could be overwhelming, there was also an incredible light in the strength of a community united. As for Rachel, she eventually became a leader in the movement, and the whistle she carried as a symbol of protection became her emblem of resilience. It was a reminder that, though monsters may walk among us, there were still more of us. People who were determined to stand together, to fight back, and to ensure that no one ever felt alone in the dark again. The story of Emily Carter, like the stars in the sky, burned brightly against the night. It had taken tragedy to illuminate the truth, that even in the face of unspeakable loss, life would always find a way to move forward. Her memory, her fight, and her legacy would live on, forever etched in the hearts of those who knew her and the countless lives that would be touched by her story. Emily Carter may have been taken too soon, but she had left a mark on the world that no one could erase. Her final moments, heartbreaking as they were, sparked a change that would last a lifetime. And in the end, that was her greatest victory.